Hello, everybody, and welcome to the first match between Team Jungle Milk and Animal Family 2.0. This is Learning Fives. I am Niberia, and I'm joined by my co-caster, Can Opener Dude. Can, how's it going?
It's going well. I am excited to be here and see these two teams go up against each other, and we're not wasting any time getting straight into bans and picks.
So the Victor ban here is not only a meta ban, but it's also a target ban against Lethica, who is essentially a Victor one-trick pony. I think he had about 30 more games than his next played. Zach was also a big pick for both junglers here. So far it just seems to be target bans.
Yeah, and I think being a one-trick and going into any sort of drafting phase is kind of a bad move because they're immediately going to ban out that champion.
We're actually seeing that pattern continue here.
Yeah, this is one of the problems. The common advice for lower elo is to find 2 or 3 champions that you enjoy and just spam those forever. The problem with that is that draft pick removes that ability for you to play them.
Yep, and I'm going to predict the next ban here, Zyra. Oh, just as it comes out. I was a little too slow. But Chester edits, also another one-trick. So we have like 3 one-tricks in this game.
Well, to be fair, being a Zyra one-trick as a support is basically not saying anything.
Yeah.
Because Zyra is pretty much the strongest support in the game right now. So not really a whole lot. not really a whole lot of guessing going on there as far as why that's picked there. Don't really know what's going to happen here except for missing a ban.
Missing a ban, it looks like. Yep. I was wondering. I saw the icon pop up. I was like, I'm not familiar with a white and green blank champion portrait, but apparently that's what happens when you miss a ban.
Well, now we know. They will ban out Camille because Camille is dumb.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, no one has played it on either team, but Camille is dumb, as you said.
Yeah,
so ultimate, but
pardon the French, but that's really the truth of it as it stands in lower elo. You do not want a Camille on either team.
Well, as I understand it, and correct me if I'm wrong, Fiora is the power pick into her, and she's pretty difficult as champions go. Yeah,
Fiora is the power pick into Camille, but Fiora also has a negative win rate into Camille. So there's still she still has the highest win rate against Camille in any matchup. So that goes to show you just how powerful Camille was, and even the nerfs to her really haven't done anything to soften that blow.
Yikes.
We do see the Maokai coming in as first pick. That's to be expected. Kennen getting picked up for get reported. Also not something we're too surprised about. We've seen AD and AP Kennen on that guy's match history, as well as Rek'Sai for Z-Patak.
None of these picks are surprising so far. These are all power picks. I think this is a good idea for these lower elo players. Just for all the watchers who aren't aware, these teams range from about Bronze 4 to Silver 2 in this match. Actually, the 2 highest are actually ZP Attack and Bone, who are Silver 2 and Silver 3 respectively. So when you're trying to improve at that level, the best way to improve is to pick some champions you're comfortable on and just spam them. So,
which is why I play Aatrox.
You're making it a little hard on yourself, but I respect it.
New Warwick is also a champion that I would recommend to anyone who's looking to find a champion that's easy to play and also has a bit of mechanical. He used to be completely non-mechanical whatsoever, but New Warwick is definitely something that I would recommend to all junglers. Don't expect him to see him come out because there really hasn't been a lot of time for teams to practice him, but he's definitely something very, very strong. In fact, stronger than he was before, in fact.
Please pick that Urgot, please. I need this. Can. I need this in my life.
I will hesitantly agree with you. Lust, though, not agreeing with us.
Unfortunately not. This is his 3rd highest pick champion. His first is actually Vayne. I'm very proud of him for not whipping that out in a competitive match because he would be shut down so easily.
Golf clap for the lack of Vayne.
Yeah, especially by Maokai Vianney. Dear God.
Yeah, that would not be a fun time. Twitch Hover by Flaming Diva. Twitch into Varus is decent. Varus is kind of one of those champions that you don't really counter as much as just ignore.
Right.
So really any ADC that can survive getting poked is decent, which is basically all of them sans Tristana. So Twitch will be fine. Leona, very, very decent. Varus obviously has very little in the realms of escape. So Leona will be fine at that. But Janna, good counter to Leona.
Absolutely. So how is this matchup going to work in the bot lane here? Because this looks like the one we could talk about the most really quick.
Well, as someone who's been forced into support for several years, I can safely say that Janna is the most infuriating champion to go up against if the person knows how to play them. You've done a lot of research onto these players. Has Tiny Panther done any sort of significant playing of Janna in the past?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, then
Second
I can
most
safely
played.
say that this Leona is going to have very little impact in the early game unless they can somehow bait out Janna's abilities first, which, if Janna's good, is not going to happen. But hey, this is practically solo queue,
Yep.
so we'll have to see how that advances. So I really do think it's going to come down to the supports because both of these AD carries do not want to do too much until they hit at least level 4 or 5.
Yep. All right.
So it's going to come down to supports before that.
That sounds like a good mini preview of how the match is going to go. We're going to go on break here for about 2 minutes as the spectator delay counts down. We'll see you back in a few. everybody. Welcome back from that short break. My name is Nibiria, and I'm joined by my co-caster, Can Opener Dude, for Game 1 between Team Jungle Milk on the blue side and Animal Family 2.0 on the red. Before we get into the nitty-gritty of what's going on here with the Masteries and everything, I'm going to do a quick rundown of the two teams. For Team Jungle Milk, we have Healing Milk in the top lane, Bone in the jungle, the Dead Guy in mid, Flaming Diva for AD carry, and Chester Edits on support. For the red team, Animal Family 2.0, we have Get Reported in the top lane, ZP Attack 12 in the jungle, Lethica in mid, OE Lust on AD carry, and Tiny Panther on support. Now, Can Opener, we did see some interesting Keystone Masteries. Most notably, we had the Thunderlords on Maokai, and the Fervor on Kennen. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
I mean, no, but I will. I'm trying to forget it happened, to be completely honest with you. I cannot in any way, shape, or form believe that choosing Thunderlords on Maokai was intended. That goes beyond any sort of logic that I could possibly imagine playing a Maokai top lane. There's no reason to pick him if you want to go Thunderlords. There's 7 or 8 other champions that could do what he does better with Thunderlords. So I'm going to assume that that was a mastery for Maokai there. As far as Fervor of Battle goes, that's completely fine if you're going to go attack speed Kennen, which is entirely possible for Get Reported because we've seen him do it in the past. Right. The ability to just throw down auto attacks again and again and get off those stuns synergizes reasonably well with Fervor of Battle, which will be able to, throw off stuns and do damage. It'll be good. It'll be fun. You'll enjoy it. So right. I can understand the Fervor of Battle, but there's no way in heck that Maokai intended to take Thunderlords.
Okay, so what about this matchup mid lane? I noticed the Deb guy took Cleanse over Ignite or Teleport. Do you think that the Kennen and Varus CC was really worth that, or...
It's entirely possible that he feels that his ability to flash and get a stun off is going to be countered effectively by the hard CC from the Varus and the Kennen, or he feels that he's going to be engaged upon and wants the ability to still get off his CC after getting jumped on by the CC of the opposing team. Those are the things that I'm imagining. Specifically in his mid lane matchup, I do not see that being particularly effective. Ignite would be a better choice specifically for the lane matchup, but I can definitely see him wanting to get that sort of insurance that his ability to fight in team fights is unhampered by the CC on the enemy team.
So we're seeing an early lead for Flaming Diva here in the bottom lane. Is this what was necessarily expected? Because I know we were talking about that Janna sort of shuts down Leona, but it doesn't look like there's really much to be done at this point.
Janna is going to be relatively squishy until she can get all 3 of her abilities and get the shields off and have her CC as well. So until she does that, she has to play a little bit safe of the Leona, because from level 1 and 2, Leona can throw out solid amounts of CC. So that's something that Animal Farm 2's bot lane is going to need to watch out for. But now that they've hit level 3, this may start to come out in favor of Animal Farm in this spot.
A little bit of poke going down there on the Flaming Diva, just like you said. Looks like it's turning a little bit.
Yeah, we're going to have to see how that progresses, though, because, again, Janna does counter the Leona, and like we said, Tiny Panther does have experience on Janna, but Leona can outplay this sort of combo if played correctly, so it's really going to come down to Chester to see how he plays going into this.
Yep. And Leona is his second most played support, so both of them on their second most played support, so they both have pretty good experience on these champions. That'll be interesting to see how this matchup turns out. We're seeing that ZP Attack and Bone might actually end up fighting here in the bottom over the Scuttle Crab, but looks like Bone is actually going to go for a gank. ZP Attack should see this with the Tremor Sense. Oh, and he wards the push.
And a ward.
So that's not going anywhere. Unfortunate.
Yeah. I was going to say that in a fight between these two at level 4, I would give the advantage to Vi, simply because they have the CC, the passive shields, and the armor-breaking W. So that would certainly put them ahead in a fight versus a level 4 Rek'Sai. But it really depends on whose bot lane would respond first to that.
Does that matchup change as the levels progress, or is it mostly a static 1v1 until the very late game where Vi no longer has the damage to straight up kill Rek'Sai?
I feel that it scales linearly in favor of the Rek'Sai as the game goes on. The longer the game progresses past 20 minutes, Vi will have less and less impact unless she can continuously and consistently get picks, because you can't really do much as tank Vi, and damage Vi falls off the same way that damage Lee Sin would. So
Right.
up until 20 minutes, it's pretty even, with Rek'Sai slowly getting better as the game goes on again because of just the amount of pressure that Rek'Sai has in the kit, with the Tremor Sense, with the Farm Alarm ultimate to gather around the map, and just the overall interesting mobility. Meanwhile,
Hold
bot
on a
lane.
second. It looks like Bone's going for a gank here in the bot lane. OE Lust is getting exhausted, but flashes out. Bone flashes right after him. OE Lust might be going down here. Flaming Diva also flashing after him, but he looks like he's barely going to make it out with a sliver of health. Actually, all 4 summoners burned here for Animal Farm 2.0, while ZP Attack was getting a gank down top lane. So...
Yeah. Also, I want to highlight that there was an exhaust, a flash, and Bone's flash burned for that. I'm not really certain why Bone decided to flash there. He did not have the Vault Breaker up, his Q up, which I find kind of strange. He didn't use it to get into the fight either, unless he used it off
he
the
shorted
screen.
it.
Oh, he shorted it? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of unfortunate there, because that certainly would have contributed a lot of much-needed CC into those kills.
And some damage. Healing Milk getting stunned out here. Get reported. Might actually... Nope. Not going to take him down, but getting him dangerously low. I wonder if Healing Milk is going to back here. He is. I think that's the smart decision there. do you agree?
I agree that he does want to go back here. He's already behind in farm. The wave that's coming into the wave that's there with him right now is a cannon wave, though, so he is gonna want to consider that fact when here. He can farm relatively safely with his Q and his E. He does have the Doran's Ring that gives him a little bit of AP as well. Just needs to not get stunned by Get Reported.
Bone is going to try and come up here for a gank, but it's going to be spotted out by the ward. Hopefully Healing Milk is picked up by now that Get Reported is going AD. If not, this is going to be an awkward back.
Yeah, I imagine that he would notice that, and in any case, Maokai's first buy does usually consist of a Sunfire Cape. Even he did decide to go to Spectre's Cowl. Okay. Alright.
Now, is this... Obviously, it's not ideal, right? But is this a possibly not terrible pickup against the AP Cannon?
It's not terrible. I'll give you that, because there is the healing that you get every time you are damaged by an opponent from Spectre's Cowl. That's nice. And Spirit Visage...
Oh, looks like Chester Edit's going in here. Doesn't look like anything's going to go down. Janna showing exactly why she's the most obnoxious support in League of Legends.
Agreed. And what I was trying to say there was that Spirit Visage, the healing you'll be able to get off from it when you have it with the Maokai passive is non-trivial. So I could definitely see that being a pickup, but again, Sunfire Cape would be better because Get Reported needs to get in close if he wants to put out the majority of his CC with his E and his W. Healing Milk can use that as advantage to trade back now that he has his ultimate, but he decided to opt for the Spirit Visage. That's his prerogative.
Uh-oh, it looks like we might have a 2v2 coming in mid. Bone did just hit level 6 and get the blue buff. So, actually looks like he's going to try and go for a counter jungle, which means ZP attack is free to gank. Oh, nope, not actually a counter jungle. Bone goes in, ults onto Lethica, missed shockwave by Lethica. The dev guy flashing out backwards, ZP attack, nearly taking out Bone. It looks like he's going to try and get it, but not quite enough damage with that burrowed Q.
Now, one thing I want to highlight there is Lethica's use of Shockwave was not what I would call ideal. The ball was not on his head at that time. I do believe he panicked and pressed the R without doing the command shield first. that basically ensured that there was not any sort of CC on the Vi while he was on him, and the Deb guy was standing there anyway, so
Yep.
not really anything that Lethica could have done. Push up with no vision around that top side, or no vision at all. In fact, the control ward in the mid lane is for the Deb guy.
Now the CS numbers look are a little misleading here for the two junglers, because while ZP Attack is ahead in CS, he's actually only ahead by like 300 gold because of that kill that Bone got. So roughly even right now.
In addition to that, one thing to point out is...
Oh, hold on. Chester Edits flashing in, going up with the Zenith Blade. Leona ult blown. Lust is probably going to go down here. Flaming Diva has popped his own ult. Tiny Panther using her ult to try and get out. Bone flash smites onto Tiny Panther, and Tiny Panther is going to go down to an auto from Flaming Diva. Great gank.
Very, very good gank, and we do see that the flash auto attack combo that Bone highlighted twice now worked out for them this time, but I really do not feel comfortable with the flashes being used in this manner, because it's really your only genuine escape on a lot of these champions, and I don't necessarily feel that these champions that otherwise don't have a way of getting out of hard CC, I don't think that they should necessarily be using them to get kills when you are facing a Rek'Sai, a Kennen, and a Varus, and even an Orianna. These are definitely CCs you want to try and avoid with that flash defensively.
To be fair, though, it did guarantee that the bot lane and Rek'Sai could not interrupt the follow-up dragon, because the flash smite secured the kill by slowing them down enough for the rest of Team Jungle Milk to catch up. I'm not saying it was the best play, and ideally they would have just either been happy with getting them low and then getting the dragon, or seeing what they could do without blowing the Vi flash, which is so incredibly valuable on that champion. But
yeah, that Vi in particular has the ability to flash engage with the Q very, very well. But again, I'm not going to criticize too much. It worked. They got a kill. They got the dragon. The play's in their hand. But the gold is what I'm looking at right now, and they're dead even on gold despite being 3 kills up. So I'm wondering if they should be refocusing somewhere else, because despite them being 3 kills up, despite them making these plays, they don't seem to be gaining a gold lead, which I think could be gained better by focusing more on the farm and less on the fights and the ganks.
Right. Well, to be fair, though, Flaming Diva on that Twitch is going to scale incredibly well into the late game. And with 1-0-1 scoreline and higher CS, that's something. You know, it's
something. It's definitely something. But the gold differential in mid lane and top lane is heavily in favor of Animal Farm right now, which is where I'm concerned. The Orianna, very, very strong as she picks up items, and the Kennen is definitely going to want to be out farming this Maokai, because he needs to pick up some sort of something in order to do something.
Yeah,
lots of something's going on there.
Interestingly, there was another gank from Bone bot lane. He's focusing pretty much all of his efforts down here. Did blow Lust's flash, but the flash wasn't necessary, so technically a successful gank. I would have liked to see Lust holding the flash there, because there was no way for Bone to get onto him any further without either eating tower and dying thanks to Tiny Panther locking him down, or anything like that. But gold, as you said, is still even after all of this, so have to see how they play the map.
It's a very, very interesting scenario we have playing out here, and I'm not even going to begin to talk about the farm differential in the jungle here. Bone is putting the entire onus on his laners to be able to hyper carry this late game, specifically the Twitch and the Annie. Meanwhile, ZP Attack, that name's going to trip me up several times. I apologize.
It has me many.
In any case, he's giving himself as much farm as he needs to do what he needs to do.
Oh, it looks like a missed ultimate from Leona, but not a missed ultimate from the Deb guy. Lust is going to go down here, but it looks like ZP Attack nearly taking out Deb guy on the back. Deb guy has to flash. but 1 for 0. It looks like Bone is going in on Aletheca here. Blew the ult, not the flash yet. The one time she doesn't flash auto, I think the flash auto might have actually gotten that kill.
Yeah, I was kind of expecting it at this point, but
Yeah, I mean, stick to your guns, man.
Gotta keep them guessing, I guess.
Yeah. They'll never
I don't
expect the not flash auto.
The not flash auto.
Healing
Right now,
Milk
I'm trying to
finishing
figure out
off.
how to sell the gold totals right now, so bear with me a second.
Yeah, it looks like Healing Milk did finish the Spirit Visage. Probably not the best. Not
Oh, I got it.
terrible. He already had the Spectre's Cowl, so I guess finishing it gets another boost onto the passive healing. It's a little hard to justify. Maybe he just hasn't realized it yet. That the cannon chunking with autos has gone AD.
Chunking's probably too strong of a word.
Well, no,
Slowing
not
with
chunking,
autos.
Early, he was doing some serious damage with those autos, though.
If we're talking about builds, though, I do want to highlight the fact that Get Reported rushed a Frozen Mallet, which is just about the worst item you can build first on any sort of cannon build.
Yeah. Even on Gnar, for whom it's been core forever, you want that Black Cleaver first, because if you can slow someone forever, that's cool and all, but if you can't kill them, what are you really doing other than wasting both of your time?
Yeah, and it's kind of interesting to me here is that Get Reported's choice of a Frozen Mallet is forgiven by Healing Milk's choice of a Spirit Visage here. Because if either of these people had been paying more attention to the champions they were facing, they might have actually picked a different item here, but because of the mutual sort of understanding or misunderstanding, it might be an even higher level of meta understanding than even I have. So I'm willing to entertain the possibility that these guys are just geniuses beyond my comprehension.
They were the respect builds. They were like, alright, you build poorly against me, I build poorly against you, and then the true battle begins.
Who can fight better while building poorly?
Yeah.
It's like a Dark Souls challenge run, you know?
Yeah,
build all
exactly.
the bad items and then try and win.
Looks like ZP attacks pretty far in the Team Jungle Milk jungle, but he backed out before anything was done about it.
Yeah, ZP Attack has, with the Tremor Sense, the ability to kind of submarine through the opposing jungle and be relatively safe, assuming he's not spotted out by a ward, because if he's just searching around for the enemy jungler, he'll know exactly where they are as they're moving. That guy getting chunked out a little bit.
So, interestingly, Bone is spending way too much time on these ganks here. I just wanted to point this out. So, as a learning opportunity, if you spend so much time on your gank that you could have backed like 3 times, you probably should have backed it. Ooh! Wasn't expecting that one. A point-blank shockwave onto the Deb guy, killing him from his current health. Nothing else was used, just shockwave, so...
Those are very satisfying to
Yeah.
do, let me tell you.
Good catch by Aletheca. That shockwave dunk is the last thing I was expecting to say while casting that mid. Looks like Bone is going in for ZP attack. Bone doesn't look like he quite has the damage there, and with no one to follow up on his engage, ZP attack is going to get out scot-free.
Yeah, ZP Attack is up an entire item on him, despite the gold being relatively even. He's got the Tiamat. As compared to just the jungle enchantment for both of them, which is definitely some sort of a power spike.
He's only 100 gold up, though, all told. Ooh, looks like Tiny Panther didn't quite time the tornado correctly. Chester Edits getting a stun onto OE Lust, but ZP Attack is here to try and repel the gank. It looks like OE Lust is ulting onto Chester. Chester's going below, but unfortunately OE Lust goes down, and so does Tiny Panther. Flaming Diva, dear God, man. Give me a chance
Gotta
to
respect
breathe,
the poison.
please.
Gotta respect the poison that Twitch has at its disposal, and when he's in his ult, he can pierce you with his auto attacks, in addition to having them being super ranged as well. So while I do respect ZP Attack coming in to try and nullify that engage there, really they should have immediately just backed out when Flaming Diva and Chester Edits decided to back out, because they were about to back out, but then, you know, the Varus ult came down like, oh, we can still fight this. No, you can't.
Yeah.
Don't fight a Twitch with a PF
disengaged.
sword and rune ants. Don't do it.
Like, looks like Team Jungle Milk is going to be going for the dragon here. I'm not sure if this is the right call. If they get it, it is great play. But it is potentially dangerous because everyone is back on the map. It looks like Animal Family 2.0 is going to come in here and try and maybe get a kill on the backside. Nope. So all told, Team Jungle Milk got right there 2 kills, first blood tower, and a dragon. And now they're up 1.2k from a roughly even gold playing field. I'd say that is a pretty good play.
Yeah, it's a very, very good play, and they're able to pick up another tower on the top side. I mean, no, I apologize. That's the other team.
Yeah, that is Team Animal. Or
there is a turret
2.0.
returned. And there is a turret returned, which returns the gold to about 100. But still, very good play.
Again.
Yeah, this game is very, very close. Teams very evenly matched here. This looks like the brewings of a team fight, though.
Possibly. Ooh, get reported. Looks like he's going to be going on here. Dev Guy flashing there for that Tibbers. I'm not sure that was the right decision. Dev Guy getting pretty low. Blows the cleanse on nothing. It looks like Bone is here trying to save him from Lethica. Dev Guy, Tibbers does come back, but Bone is going to go down here to the autos and Q from Lethica, and it looks like nothing else has happened in the back line, but 4 summoners blown for Team Animal Family, or Animal Family 2.0. Team Jungle Milk lost Bone, and also 4 summoners. So that's a win for Animal Family 2.0, and they get to push down mid here.
Yeah, it is a 1-for-1 trade, and summoners back and forth. Really, though, what really interested me out of that team fight was just the way that no one seemed really wanting to commit all the way into it, except for Lethica. And what that tells me is Lethica's very confident, which is good because he's at a very strong power spike right now. He's got a needlessly large run. He's got his Morellos. He's going to be building into, I probably would guess, a Luden's Echo next. He is very, very strong right now. He's probably going to be able to 100-0 Twitch and Annie once he completes that Luden's Echo. So that's something we're going to need to keep an eye on. And that's what I wanted to comment earlier on when Annie died to that ult. When you're against a bursty mid laner, even if you yourself are a bursty mid laner with CC, you do not want to stay in that lane if you can avoid it.
Looks like ZP attack is getting seen here by Bone, but ZP doesn't know that Chester Edits is here. ZP taking the tunnel back out. Nothing going to happen there. There's a whole lot of nothing going down there.
Yeah, I feel like these guys are kind of afraid to fight right now simply because they don't really know where the rest of the opposing teams are. Everyone's just kind of running around in the dark at this point because the vision lines haven't really solidified yet, which kind of plays into the advantage of the team that's behind right now.
Oh, geez, the Dev Guy getting a 2-man Tibbers down here, and it looks like Tiny Panther just goes down pretty much instantly.
See, and that's exactly the opposite of what I was just saying.
Yeah.
And that's good. Confusing. That's good because the Dev Guy decided, you know what, I know I've got this little area warded. I'm going to see if I can't get a pick here. And he was able to pick that up very, very handily there, which allows them to basically have a bigger, start to have a bigger impact on the map. You want to just continue to have these picks as the game goes on, despite the fact that we're still only about 400 gold difference.
Yep. Let's see the gold. I mean, the thing is, though, about that gold difference, I think that Team Jungle Milk can just do more with the gold that they have because they have a hyper-scaling 80 carry, they have a strong tank line, they have a burst mid laner, and they have the 2 dragons, which are Mountain and Infernal, which are 2 of the best dragons to get.
I'm going to have to agree with you there. And finally, we do see the Maokai picking up some armor. He's got the Dead Man's Plate now, which, while not the best armor item for Maokai to buy first, it is an armor item. Yep. So he's got that for him now. And we do see that Get Reported is actually split pushing in the top lane. Both top laners have their TP, so I feel like Healing Milk could easily go and answer this, which he is going to do right now. But Get Reported building into what looks like a Blade of the Ruined King now, which I don't really think is necessarily the right move, considering the only one with significant tank on the opposing team is the Maokai, which is going to be almost impossible to kill anyway. Yeah. So I think maybe a Runeans would have been a better choice. A Runeans or possibly Wit's End. I don't know.
I personally think I would have liked to see an Executioner's Calling and a Runeans. Like, just build the calling and sit on it, because then you can punish Milk a lot more because he loses his passive essentially.
I agree. That would definitely be a good pickup, and it is only 800 gold. It's less expensive than the Reeve Curve Bow. It's less expensive than the Bilgewater Cutlass, even. Much less expensive.
I think it's decent stats. I mean, 15 AD, well, I believe it's 15.
10 or 15, somewhere in there.
It's not like a huge chunk, but it's significant enough. Interestingly enough, I do have a question about OE Lust's build here. We saw lethality being buffed in this last patch, but why are we... Is that the only reason we're seeing the resurgence of the Mana Moon Varus? Because we were seeing the sort of Essence Reaver crit focus Varus just a patch before.
I think in this particular instance, the Youmuu's into Manamune is simply for, one, the attack speed and mobility that Youmuu's gives, because Varus is kind of behind right now, so he needs to be able to just throw out auto attacks in order to be able to do something. And the Manamune is for poke, because again, playing from behind, he needs to be able to use those arrows to poke, and Manamune will help him do that. So I think this is basically just him building a very safe build and a very range-oriented build. Not necessarily anything to do with the lethality changes. And a nice pickup by ZP Attack there.
Yeah, great Prey Seeker. One thing that I will mention here is actually Youmuu's Ghostblade was changed recently as of the Assassin's rework and no longer gives attack speed. So it's
just for the movement speed then.
Yeah, it might be a weaker item now, but we're seeing it come back a little bit, and I'm wondering if the move speed is just that worth it, and the CDR.
They're both very, very good stats, especially on a caster ADC like Varus. I really don't think it is for the
Ooh, we lost getting pretty low here. It looks like he's probably going to go down Bone using his ult, but Lethica there to save him.
Yeah, good play by Lethica there, being able to get the shield off. The rest of the team responding just in time. And OE Lust using his flash intelligently there to get away after the ult was already completed to make sure that Vi would not follow him.
God knows I've screwed that up more times than I can count.
But as I was saying, I really don't think the lethality change is as effective as it might seem on paper. It still is a crap stat. And
fair enough.
I really don't think that anyone outside of pro players will be able to use it effectively. And even pro players are going to have difficulty using it effectively because it is just absolutely gutted from what armor penetration used to be.
Yeah.
I don't like lethality.
That didn't come across really. You know, I thought you were a fan from that.
I like the name.
It is a cool name.
Even though it's not really keeping with the whole clarity thing that Riot likes to do. They like to make things clear as opposed to more esoteric, but yeah. I don't know. I like the name. I like the concept of it, but I think it should go hand in hand with, consistent base armor pen instead of replacing it. Because I do feel that armor pen
the new hybrid pen runes, because that's really cool too. Is it precision runes, or is that the mastery? That's the mastery, isn't it?
Yeah, that's mastery. I believe the hybrid ones are... Oh god, I don't even remember off the top of my head because I don't pay attention to what the runes are called. Okay. I can't even tell what they look like because I've got the new client.
Oh god, me neither. Looks like Team Jungle Milk going for their third dragon in a row here.
Yeah, this is interesting to me that ZP Attack has had almost zero objective control throughout this entire game despite playing the Rek'Sai.
Yeah, and it looks like a fight breaking out here. Flaming Diva did go down onto Tiny Panther. And
that's about it that's coming
out of it. Not much else coming into it. But Get Reported is coming in to flank from the top side. He might be looking for a fight here, or maybe just trying to get back to his team in mid. Any ultimate blown.
He's going to be seen out by the Vi, but I don't think that Bone's going to have any particular answer for that until now.
Oh. Until that happens, it looks like a missed Shockwave and a two-man Leona ultimate slow. Dev guy getting incredibly low. OE Lust is going to kill him with just the ult and an auto. The Mana Moon build coming in pretty big there, showing how much damage you can get in just one auto.
And with his current build versus the Annie, that ult is about 200 damage just off hitting itself. And despite the Deb guy trying to do the cleanse, it wasn't quite Captain Jack, so he was not able to get out of range of that auto attack fast enough.
Yep. And it looks like ZP Attack is just going to take down this turret bot lane. More escorting the minion waves than anything, but...
All right, and as I was saying, that was a nice pickup, being able to notice that that tower was low and rotating down there. But ZP Attack, I really feel he needs to start being aware of these objectives a bit more. The entire team of Animal Farm is really giving up these dragons for free. They're not even trying to contest them, despite being grouped up in a position where they can. And they've had wards on it multiple times. The wards have been cleared out, but then they just kind of allow it to happen, reset somewhere else on the map, and don't really get anything for it. So I think they need to refocus on what their win conditions are, which in this case is objectives. They're behind in the kill game. They're behind a little bit. Actually, they're ahead now in gold. I don't know how that happened.
Me neither.
But,
good Lord.
But they need to refocus on the objectives. The dragons, the Baron going to be coming up soon, and the towers, because they're not going to win this by running it down mid lane. Not against this team comp, not in this game with the way it's set up.
It looks like Get Reported finally finishing that Blade of the Ruin King and going into Ruin's Hurricane now. He was sitting on nearly 3,000 gold. I was kind of hoping a fight would break out just so I could mention that fact, but it looks like I found another reason too. I did find where the gold discrepancy came from, though. The mid and top lanes. Just look at those farm numbers. Lethica with 250 to the Dead Guys 182. And Get Reported with a 232 compared to Healing Milk's 168.
Yeah, there definitely is a massive farm. But here comes the fight.
Gone onto there with the Vault Breaker, and it looks like the ult going down from Bayern. And wow, that incredible AoE from Tibbers. Oh, he lost. Might be about to go down here, but the Sunfire Cape effect from Tibbers that he just naturally has, doing just enough damage in combination with Flaming Diva's poison to take him down.
It was actually funny. The Warlord's Bloodlust that Varus had saved him, and then he went for another one and it killed him because of the Sunfire passive.
Warlord giveth, Warlord taketh.
I feel like I'm playing Warhammer 40k again.
Yeah, that fight was incredibly quick, though. It was, I almost started casting it after it ended. It was just suddenly 3 members of Animal Family had just disappeared out of nowhere.
Yeah, this is something I'm finding very, very interesting about this team here. This Annie's damage is utterly significant.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know if Get Report is going to try and do something. Little late. Little late.
I mean, he was there before it went down, but your AD carry cannon, most of your damage comes from after you have your Fervor stacks up. There's not much you can do against a Smite.
There's not really much you can do at all as AD cannon.
Right. Correct.
I want to point out here that despite the fact that Orianna has significant damage here, the Annie will begin to outscale it now. Orianna has opted into the Rabadon's Death Cap instead of the Luden's Echo. Looks like it's going to be a Void Staff next after that. Normally, we would see a Luden's Echo instead of the Death Cap this early on, simply because the Rabadon's passive isn't as effective with the less amount of AP you'll have early game. Normally, you're going to get the Ludens into the Void and then get the Rabadons late game for an extra surprise power strike off of that passive.
It looks like Animal Farm, at least half of them, were considering flanking from the backside, but they called that off pretty quickly. Interesting pickup from the dev guy here in the Proto Belt, which I assume is to add more burst to the combo.
Yeah, this is more for the mobility of it in this particular instance. It is pretty standard on Annie's. I've seen it a lot in low elo. I'm not particularly sure how it works in higher elos, but I have seen it on I'm a Cutie Pie stream, so it's somewhere in the high elos.
Someone's using it.
Proto Belt, specifically after its damage nerf about 2 months ago, it's very much more focused on the mobility at this point. And Annie's the perfect use for that. Annie and Elise specifically like to pick it up to be able to continuously get in on the opponents after they try and use mobility skills to escape them.
Right. It looks
And it
like
allows for a bit of a surprise factor as well, because when you hear the flash, you immediately flash yourself when you see the
Right.
Annie coming in. But the Proto Bell is just like, wait, what the hell was that? And then you get killed.
Exactly. It looks like, geez, Team Jungle Milk getting yet another dragon.
They're getting excellent dragon spawns, by the way.
Yeah, that is about as much as you could hope for. So what are your thoughts on if Animal Family 2.0 should have engaged there? I'm going to guess no, because the Baron empowered Team Jungle Milk, who already crushes them in team fights, would just be so much that even with the dragon damage, you cannot kill them. Is
The
that...
thing about Animal Farm is that if they can get rid of the Annie's ability to basically melt the crap out of them, they've won the team fight. Because all they have to deal with then is Flaming Diva.
Ooh,
which we're going to see right here.
Panther, but it looks like a 3-man shockwave going in, but oh my god. The damage coming out from this Annie, I can't even call it out before they're dead.
And yeah, that's the thing, is that the Annie's putting out significant damage, and then Flaming Diva on this Twitch is able to do so much with the extended spray and pray and the Runans. It just ends the game. That's really what it comes down to, is the combination of the two getting ahead was just way too much for Animal Farm to handle.
Yeah, so good game from the two of them. Team Jungle Milk is going to take the first match of this 2-game show match, 1-0. Let's see if Animal Family can tie it up in the next one. We're going to go on a quick break here while the lobby is reformed. We'll see you back in a few. All right, everybody, and we're back to game 2 of Team Jungle Milk versus Animal Family 2.0 here at Learning Fives. The teams have switched sides, so we'll be seeing Animal Family 2.0 on the left side, on blue side, and Team Jungle Milk on the red. So, Twitch ban coming out. Can't say I'm surprised. That was a great game.
I am outraged that they would so randomly and indiscriminately choose a ban.
That pick had no impact last game. None at all.
None! Just like the Annie.
But interestingly, that means they won't ban out the power picks that they did last game. So we'll see.
Well, I mean, arguably, the Twitch and the Annie were power picks in their own right. Yeah. So, I mean, you pick your poison. I would say in this particular instance, it's fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me. So they're going to ban out what they know has beaten them and try and deal with something new.
I didn't feel the Maokai was all that impactful enough to ban out. Like, it wasn't bad.
Yeah, but he didn't do anything. I think it's more, please don't play that again. It was too painful to watch kind of ban. Varus getting banned out, I don't really necessarily see that. Oelus did fine on the Varus, but I just, honestly, if I was Jungle Milk, I'd say, yeah, go ahead and play the Varus again. We know how to counter that.
Yeah, interestingly, it looks like Animal Family is taking away the Zyra pick from Team Jungle Milk support Chester. So instead of banning away the power pick, they took it. I like that adaptation.
Yeah, I do like that. And obviously, like you said, both of these junglers have experience on Zac. I think every jungler should have experience on Zac. He's so much fun.
Oh, he is.
And he sounds cool too, but it's a good power pick. It synergizes so well with Courage of the Colossus. He'll be able to do marvelous things in the hands of Bone. I just hope that Bone is just as aggressive as he was last game on that Vi that he is on the Zac, because Zac has so many different gank paths that other junglers simply cannot match, that I would love to see what Vi pulls out here.
I think I'm most interested in seeing if it changes his time management in the lanes anymore, because we saw him sitting in the bot lane a lot, not ganking, but getting ready to gank, sort of just sitting around, okay, are they going to go in now or now? Whereas Zac has a much larger engage range, so maybe he'll pick when he waits better. I'm sort of hoping to see that.
I could definitely see where you're getting at with that, and I would agree that the ability to pick your battles is a trait that Zac does very well, because he's able to engage from such far away, from such distance. I'll say it that way. Such far away sounds weird.
Just a little.
Yeah.
Such far away. So distance. Wow.
Wow. Kennen, Misfortune. What do we think?
About sums up my thoughts. I'm not sure where the Kennen is going, because it looks like Animal Family and Team Jungle Milk traded one-trick picks.
Yeah. Let me fill in the color on those lines a little bit. They don't want to get reported the Kennen again. You don't, because despite the fact that he played 80 Kennen last game and had zero impact on the game whatsoever, this is a guy who has experience on this champion, and you do not want to give someone their comfort pick in a draft if you can avoid it. So I think the Deb guy here picking this up, giving it either to himself or to Healing Milk would be decent. I would much rather see it on the Deb guy, because he showed ability to play AoE CC mages with that Annie. So I could see him going a very, very similar build on this Kennen, specifically with Proto Belt, which is also very good on Kennen and doing very, very well. We'll have to see as this draft ends exactly how the team runs up and Misfortune support. So we can just call the game here, pack up and go home. Both teams have lost. Thank you all for your time. I'm going to go cry in a corner now.
I really like the Misfortune pickup because it's used properly here. We'll see if they can execute on it, but we're actually going to go to break a little early this time so that we have proper times to sort of expand on these picks a little more when we get back. We're going to have a 3-minute and 25-second break as soon as I stop talking, and then when we load back in, we'll be back with Game 2 of our series. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Learning Fives. I am here with my co-caster, Can Opener Dude. I am Niberia. Sorry. We're going to see Game 2 of the show match between Team Jungle Milk on the red team and Animal Family 2.0 on the blue side this time. It's going to be a great match. How are you feeling about it, Can?
I'm feeling pretty good, and don't worry, you don't have to be sorry about being Niberia. Not all of us can be Can Opener Dude. We do see a bit of what looks like an early invade happening here on the blue side of the map. Gonna see how this goes. Misfortune maybe sniffing it out, but I'm not sure whether they'll be able to see it.
Ooh, Chester moved. They know. Tiny Panther did.
They know.
Snare. Doesn't look like it. A little bit of making it rain going down there by Chester. And the invade is pretty easily repelled. Did they get a ward over? Yep, they got a ward in the blue bush. It's like 2 trinkets in response from Team Jungle Milk. So
they also got one at the entrance down there, so they'll be able to see if Flaming Diva and Chester Edits come down that route as well. That's going to be fairly informative for the bot side of Animal Farm to be able to know what path the opposing bot lane is going to be taking as they come into lane.
Yep.
Especially with the Dire Jin.
Both junglers starting bot side, not surprising. There is something I want to talk about. I usually harp on about bot lane, and we have plenty of time to do that later on, but for now, this top lane matchup, how does it go? Kale... So, let's look at Kale for a minute. She does great late game against squishies because she builds up those stacks pretty quickly and then just starts demolishing and chunking them for like a third of their health. But against hyper tank, she struggles unless she builds more resist shred because her passive shreds enough to stop sort of bruisers from doing much, but not necessarily those hyper tanks with like 200 of each resistance.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure how this is going to work out here. Poppy is very, very strong, but Kale is kind of hyper carry focused in her own right. So we'll have to see if Kale decides to continue into the top lane and not immediately start roaming towards other lanes. Then they may be able to just keep the Poppy stagnated up here because Poppy's main unkillable tendencies really only become a problem in team fights.
Right.
In a 1v1, you can just, slow them down and walk away from them if you need to. So I feel like Kale's just simply trying to split push and hold the Poppy up here. I think that's a good pick for that reason.
Yeah, I like it. This is an adaptation I haven't seen from pro play, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad one. So I'm pretty excited. It looks like Bone has only got 6 CS so far. Flaming Diva eating a W from OE Lust. OE Lust is getting a little bit low. Just a simple trade going on there. ZP attack on this Rek'Sai again is ahead by 200 gold right now, but I'm not sure how much it really matters because it's the first clear. So,
and he does have the advantage of the CS numbers in the red side jungle. Bone is going to start picking that up now, but Rek'Sai ZP attack here did manage to pick up the Krugs and the Chickens in addition to his red buff. Chickens having 5 plus Krugs having another 5 at least is certainly going to contribute to inflating that CS number because if you look at the gold, like you said, it's only about 200, maybe even less.
Reported getting a little low here. ZP attack was thinking about ganking, but there is a ward from healing Milk. So Milk should be able to get out of this with just a quick W like we're seeing there. ZP attack not going for the flash on Burrow. I think that was the smart play to not go for it.
Yeah, because he didn't know where Bone was, and even beyond that, there's not a whole lot that Poppy can add to this situation at level 4 with no walls right in the area to stun the Kale up against.
So this bot lane matchup, I stalled as long as I could, but I have an obsession with bot lane, I can't help it. So we're seeing, this is an adaptation we've saw a lot at Worlds. So the reason Misfortune support is picked here is because of Love Tap and I think Make It Rain also might make a contribution, but I think it's primarily just Love Tap and her Q, whose name I forget. Double Up. Because the reason is, with the Love Tap, you can kill plants in, I believe, 2 autos instead of 3. Correct me if I'm wrong on that.
It's entirely possible. I know that specifically the Make It Rain is why it was chosen by Rock's Tigers in Worlds.
Okay.
For that particular reason, because of how it interacts with Thunderlords, and also because of how it interacts with the plants. Because you see, like right there, the plant spawned and was immediately killed by the Make It Rain, because each tick of the Make It Rain counts as an auto attack for the purpose of the plants.
All right.
And since there's 5 ticks of Make It Rain and only 3 pips on the health bar of the plant.
All right. Well, thank you for clarifying that for me, so that now I can use it in the future, so I don't look like a dunce. But I do like the adaptation. I'm really happy seeing this, because for a while there, at least in my solo queue, which is roughly where these guys are, I'll say, people would just pick Misfortune support because it was cool and new. But it's really meant to go against Zyra with this hard CC AD carry, and I'm super happy to see it used.
And even beyond Zyra, it was originally designed as... Well, it wasn't originally designed. No one designed this. No one anticipated this. But it was originally picked by Rox for the capability of countering the Zyra. But what people have also found is that it's a very distinct counter to utility ADCs, which is the vast majority of what ADCs are in the meta right now. Jhin, Ashe, and to a lesser extent, the Varus. It's these utility ADCs that are very, very good right now. And Misfortune, because these utility ADCs don't have the mobility that, say, an Ezreal would, or even a Twitch or a Tristana would, that Misfortune's able to zone them out and just do chip damage to them without them being able to respond significantly.
Right. Okay. Yeah, it's
also the ults are pretty awesome.
Oh yeah, those ults are so amazing. I actually picked it up in my solo queue games because I was tired of us not having a support, but I also really liked playing Misfortune. She's a blast.
Are you sure you like playing Misfortune or looking at Misfortune?
Little column A, little column B. One of my close friends got me the Captain Fortune skin where she has an orange on her back, and I really like that. Dev guy going in on here with Lethica popping ult, but Lethica flashes out before the ult even goes up. It looked like.
Hey, got some farm out of it though.
Yeah.
Brought the farm even.
Farm with the Kennen ult. It's a new adaptation. Yeah. I like it. Oh, jeez. Wow, it's a lot of plants. But like you said, we're seeing exactly what you said was going to happen with that Make It Rain. The Make It Rain just stopped Flaming Diva from getting blown up there. It looks like Bone is getting attacked here by ZP attack. Dev guy is roaming up here. Lethica is also roaming as well, but isn't popping Ghost or anything. So we're good. Just a little bit of scrapping.
Yeah, that Ghost is going to be a bit hesitant for Lethica here, simply because Ghost is really his only way of, I won't even say outperforming, but just outmoving the Kennen when that Kennen starts to do aggressive things with his E. So Lethica's going to try and hold on to that as much as he can so that he can use it when he absolutely has to instead of for a maybe, when that Rek'Sai is pretty safe even going into a possible 2v1.
Mm-hmm. I do have a question about the itemization here, because this is really interesting to me, at least. The Kindle Gem first. Now, we saw Deb getting poked out of lane pretty well by Lethica in the early levels, so I assume that's why he picked it up, but this does mean that he essentially has to go Protobelt at this point. Is Protobelt still standard on Kennen? I saw it sort of drop out little in high elo.
It is first item as far as OPGG and Champion GG is concerned. But that's plat and above, of course.
Right.
Generally speaking, you can get an Abyssal first. You can get a couple different items first. I like, personally, to go Zanya's first. With the nerf to Zanya's damage, not so much. But there's a couple different ways you could do it, but it's not bad by any means the way that rushing a Spirit Visage on Maokai last game was bad, or rushing a frozen mallet on Kennen last game was bad.
It was a little bit of an unfortunate standoff of itemization there.
Yeah, I think it'll be okay for him. I don't necessarily think it was the best in this situation, but I definitely don't think it's a wrong move to make.
Okay. So, nothing too out of the ordinary coming out here. It looks like Bone did catch up in CS, so they're about even in gold again here. I'm hoping to see a bit of a play coming out here in the bot lane. Both junglers, I mean, the only one who's shown a lot of presence was Bone in the mid lane there. ZP Attack has gone for 2 ganks topside, but Kale just walks out because of that speed boost on the W. So,
one of the disadvantages here is that until or unless Animal Farm is allowed to push up, Zach's unconventional ganking paths are kind of limited on the red side.
Right.
Which is a little bit unfortunate because there are a lot of really good ones you can do. But blue side gets the lion's share of them.
Get reported is just getting chunked out to high hell here, but keeping up in CS quite admirably. I don't know if Healing Milk will even be able to push Get Reported out of lane, because at some point you're going to run out of mana.
Yeah, that's a very interesting point there. Here comes the arrow.
Hold on a second. Tiny Panther is going to get ulted by Flaming Diva. Flashes out of Chester at its ult as well. Bone is in on the backside, ulting the 2 bot laners. ZP Attack getting a little bit low. Gets the knock-up onto 2. Bone is possibly going to go down here to this ultimate, but it doesn't look like it. They're stacking up so that they don't die to it. Bone still had passive at that point, I believe, so he was safe, even if he got popped. 0 for 0 there, but a few summoners blown. Flash on ZP, heal on Lust, flash on Tiny Panther, and just exhaust for Chester edits, but flash on Bone.
What I want to highlight there, specifically the reason that there were not any kills picked up was Bone was not able to clear the wall with his elastic slingshot with his E.
Ooh,
and that basically allowed Tiny Panther to make it out alive. If Tiny Panther had been hit by that Zach's elastic slingshot, there would have been no escape for them from the combination of the Misfortune ult into the rest of Flaming Diva's DPS. So, bit of an unfortunate little geometry problem there.
Yeah,
if he'd been playing Vel'Koz, he might have done better.
Yeah. Poor
Master
Bone,
of geometry.
Oh, it looks like ZP Attack is coming in on a gank here. I'll make my joke later. It looks like 2 flashes blown so far by Flaming Diva and Chester edits. So summoners should be about even now. But it's a little unfortunate for Bone, because last game he accidentally shorted a VIQ as well. He's just getting unlucky with these skill shots. Bone barely missing the elastic slingshot, but it looks like he lost Maiko down here. Gets pretty low, has to flash out. Looks like a teleport coming in from Get Reported. Bone possibly caught in a bad situation. Teleport was canceled. Damn. I was getting into it. I was getting into it, Can. You heard it. The hype was building.
I heard it, and now the hype is all gone.
Team fight. And then Get Reported was like, no, Nibiria, you don't get to cast a team fight. I'm sorry. You get to cast another scrap where nothing happens. Come on. I need my kills.
Well, if it's any consolation, well, this isn't any consolation. I can't think of a segue.
Ooh, Shockwave coming in onto the Deb guy. Thank you, Lethica, for giving me something. Deb guy has the flash out there, and he's going to most likely back here. If he doesn't, he's going to die. So he remembers what happened the last time he sat in lane low when Lethica was nearby. He got point-blank Shockwave to the kill.
Yeah, what I was going to point out here is that...
Oh my goodness, hold on. They're responding to my complaint for not enough action. ZP Attack coming in here with a tunnel. It looks like Get Reported barely missing the stun. Healing Milk does have to use ultimate here. So, no kills again, but dear God, they're making it exciting real quick. Continue with your point that you've been interrupted on now twice.
What I was actually going to say was that the Rek'Sai has the ability here, since he knows that Bone has just done a couple ganks here. Bone's probably going to be going into the jungle to catch up on some farms, so ZP Attack should be able to pick up some interesting ganks of his own, and he manages to do just that. So, you know, I was retroactively prescient.
Yeah. There you go. That's one way to look at it. Looks like ZP Attack was going in onto the Deb guy, but the Deb guy cleverly reposting it by just blowing his load on ZP's face. Just blew every ability and was just like, alright, you want to keep coming? I got a stun. And ZP decided, getting stunned, not quite worth it.
I just want to point out, Chad actually just brought up a very good point that I want to highlight here. There's been no kills this game.
Yeah. A lot of action in the last minute or so, but no kills.
Yeah, normally bronze, silver games are absolute bloodbaths, and seeing absolutely no kills at 15 minutes is something very strange.
Hold on, Deb Guy's going to try and change that here. Does get the ultimate onto ZP attack. Chester also using his ultimate. ZP attack is going to go down here, finally. The first blood of the game goes to Chester Edits. He deserves it, man. He picked Misfortune and used the ult. That's all I could ever ask for.
That was a good arrow, too, by Flaming Diva from the bot lane into almost mid lane. I wouldn't say pinpoint accurate, but definitely very impressive.
Pretty accurate.
Yeah.
Bray would be
okay,
proud.
Bone.
Ooh,
you bounce.
Jhin ultimate going to come down. And they secure the dragon.
Yeah. But they want us to see top lane. Directed Camera wants us to see top lane, so we'll go see the wet noodle fight for a bit while they're taking the dragon. You know, Directed Camera. It works, right? Games 2017.
I tried. It's so funny. I tried to get it onto the team fight in time, but I was like, which button is one of the players fighting for dragon? So they caught the edge of the Jhin ult just as the fight ended. Don't worry, they're informed.
They are informed. Lanes are going to pretty much reset here, I think, though. There's not really a whole lot going on. I imagine that some roams are going to start coming through from the Orianna and the Kennen. At least I certainly hope so. Otherwise, we're in for a Froggen-esque farm fest for the next, 40 minutes.
I've actually been very impressed, and props have to go to the coaching staff here. These games are a lot cleaner than what I personally would be expecting for these level of players. I think that their grasp on when to fight and when not to fight has been better than expected, honestly, because we saw last week a lot of fights out of nowhere, pretty much constant aggression, and this is a more passive style. I don't think it's necessarily a matter of skill. I just think it's a matter of coaching and play style that the coaches have worked on with these teams, and it's actually pretty impressive, the amount of restraint going on here.
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree with you there. There definitely is a fair bit of game knowledge coming out here, and we can definitely give a hand to the coaching staff for that.
Yeah, absolutely. It looks like Bone is actually going to secure the blue buff, but Deb Guy had to flash out after using the ult to try and stun the two off. ZP attack going in, gets the flash on Burrow onto Bone. Is Bone going to go down here? Elastic slingshots out just in time. Jhin might be able to get the W onto him. Not even going to go for it.
Not going to happen.
Oh no, that would have required A, pinpoint accuracy, and B, either a flash heal or a miracle.
And a miracle's over in Russia right now, so we can't really rely on him.
Not happening. He's not coming out for this.
ANX jokes. He's actually not on ANX or M19 anymore. He's actually on Na'Vi now, which is another team from the LCL. I got to watch him play today. It was very fun. And my phone just went off.
Oh, wow. This CS lead in the mid lane. Again, Lethica just showing to be a farm god on Orianna. He would make Froggen proud, let me tell you.
Yeah, I can see that. And I'm sure Froggen would be more than willing to spare some pride for him.
He didn't solo kill the enemy laner for blue just yet, so we can't call him Froggen Jr., but maybe he'll get there soon.
Yeah.
He did solo
give him another 400. Give him another 400
CS
CS and we'll get there.
Yeah. Another 400 CS in a 30-minute game. Do you know who holds the CS record now, by the way?
As far as LCS is concerned, it is Froggen.
Nice.
I'm not sure about of all time. That may belong to China.
Possibly. But, ooh, one-man shockwave going in onto the Deb Guy. He does have to flash out. Chester is using the ultimate here. ZP attack trying to interrupt it with the Unburrow. ZP attack is going to go down while the Jhin ultimate has been popped by OE Lust in the backline. And it looks like a Zyra ultimate to disengage here. Flaming Diva getting a little close to that Poppy for my taste.
Yeah, not a whole lot.
Oh, Bone coming in with an elastic slingshot. Sorry to interrupt there. Bone's going to probably go down here, but he should still have passive, so they're going to try and see if we're going to fight over passive or just let him die. Healing Milk does have TP. He should use it here to save his teammate. Bone getting incredibly low. TP was not needed, but was available.
Yeah, I think he was relatively safe there. He was not under tower, so his team, with the amount of poke that they can put down, was able to effectively zone out the competition.
I would have loved to have seen a TP, though. I'm a sucker for TP plays, if you haven't noticed.
They're pretty nice. Honestly, I don't
cool.
like the fact that TP's longer now. It makes them less likely to happen and more likely to just be, I'm going to TP be in because, you know, my team is doing things, and not really any sort of intelligent decision making about where to TP.
That's a little disappointing, but it was getting a little silly how often TP was picked. It's just such a strong summoner for people with good communication and macro, though, that really, no matter what, someone's going to take it on a professional game, I feel like.
I'm gonna have to agree with you there. It definitely did need it, but that doesn't mean that it doesn't make me sad, you know?
Yeah, just a little cranky. I'd like to see, I'd be very happy to see more like Ignite, Flash, top lanes, but I don't think it's possible in the current meta. I think even Singed in professional play runs TP Ghost, correct? Because I've seen Ignite Ghost on him in solo queue at least, but...
Which champion are we talking about?
Singed?
Singed. Ghost TP, yeah, for the most part.
I can't imagine they'd take Ignite in pro play.
Yeah, not Ignite, and the Flash is pretty much useless on Singed for the most part. So yeah, Ghost TP is going to be standard.
Looks like Lethica and Co. are setting up this dragon for Animal Family 2.0. Sorry, I didn't know where I was going with that, but they're setting up dragon. So it looks like Team Jungle Milk is trying to respond to this. Could be seeing a fight here. Let's look really quickly for some TP spots potentially. For the red team, Team Jungle Milk, we have 2 spots up in the banana bush. May it rest in peace, because it's no longer called that. And for Animal Family, we don't really have great TP spots. There's one behind red. Bone does secure it with a smite. No fighting really going down. Like, there was some threat of poke almost, but none landing.
Yeah, I do want to point out again just the lack of objective control that Animal Farm is putting down here. They haven't really done much in terms of tower pushing, and they're letting these dragons go away for free again. In this particular team comp against an Ashe, against a Misfortune, against a Kennen, it is much more difficult to just set up those kind of responses and to set up the objective plays, but they really aren't trying even that much, which is a little disappointing.
Get reported going in on the Healing Milk here, but Bone is just kind of walking at him. A short elastic slingshot does land. Kale going down on the Bone. I think I would have liked to see that save for later in the fight. We're going to see if it bites them in the butt. Healing Milk going a little bit low from the Jin W, and it looks like Healing Milk is actually going to go down. Bit him in the butt. Lethica barely missing the shockwave on the Bone. Actually, I think he shockwaved his face. His own face, not Bone's.
Sombrero, I believe, is the
sombrero,
term
but
for
without
it.
the flash. It was just a style choice instead of a play. But in the meantime, it looks like Team Jungle Milk actually got tier 2 bottom lane. So
and indeed they did. Good. They did trade in inner tower, in tower down here, and they're actually pushing onto the inhibitor tower. They won't be able to pick it up right now, but
damage sticks.
Yeah, and they're definitely making trades here. We do see them doing this, and they're making intelligent macro plays.
Chester, get out of there. Use the blast plant. Use it. Hey, there it is. I like how he waited for the subtle BM of when Get
Yeah.
Reported was also on the blast plant, so he could knock Get Reported away and himself into the pit. It's the little things, really, Cam.
I wonder if you had Courage of the Colossus and you hit a blast plant and hit an enemy, if that would proc.
I think it actually does. I think it actually does proc.
Hey, that's a good way to use. That's a good way if you accidentally take Courage of the Colossus on, say, like Mundo.
Yeah.
Good way to proc it, you know.
It's just like, hold on, guys, hold on. Just give me a second. You can fight near the outer edge of the dragon pit, and it only lasts 2.5 seconds, so it's gonna have to be perfect timing. But I can proc this shield. I promise. I actually really want to see that now.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. It'll be fun. Meanwhile, I want to point out here that Poppy is actually leading in farm and in gold over the Kale. The gold's not as impressive considering there's a kill difference there. But
Right.
Poppy staying up in farm despite being pushed in and pushed under tower all game is impressive. So well done to Get Reported to being able to pull that out.
Yeah, I mean, the thing from my experience about Kale is that while she does great sustained damage and eventually it turns into burst because, you know, you get 4 autos out in 2 seconds and suddenly you have a max stack Ginsu's Rage Blade and Fervor. But you don't really have kill pressure under tower, like, at all. Ooh, a great elastic shockwave from Bone. It looks like Chester Edit's almost going to get the Jin on the backside. OE Lust barely surviving. Dev Guy getting flash unburrowed onto. Flaming Diva is actually tanking the tower here, and he really needs to run away. And it looks like OE Lust is trying to ult in on the backside to try and get a kill. Nope. Darn. Oh, looks like a re-engage. Get Reported is getting knocked up by the Elastic Slingshot. Another preemptive ultimate from Healing Milk. I don't think he's quite used to using that defensively yet.
Yeah, it can be a little difficult to get that reactively. It is one of the more powerful abilities in the game simply because of its utility, but also because of its short cooldown. So I think that alleviates somewhat the preemptive ults that Healing Milk is putting down. Because he will have it up again.
These are some fun fights, man.
Yeah, definitely. Bone making some really proactive plays here. Definitely being able to influence the game in a way that you'd expect from a Zac in this kind of fight.
I'm glad that the team fights are less the Deb guy flash proto belting in and instantly blowing up the enemy team, and more me getting to say ability names. I'm really appreciating that this time around, personally.
Yeah, it's fun times. Oh, look, clearing awards. I love that.
Oh, this is my favorite. If we were in EU or NALCS back in the day, we'd hear a bunch of clapping and cheering right now.
Yeah.
Do you remember those horrible times after, what was the game? The, like, 2-hour game between CLG EU and someone, because of course it was CLG EU.
Yeah, Froggen.
Yeah. Froggen was like, hold on, guys. Hold on. I swear, Froggen could have, like, a 20k gold lead, and he'd be like, hold on. I need more farm. I need more farm. Hold on. Ooh, Flaming Diva is getting hit by the Shockwave, and OE Lust getting a great bind on the backline. Just gonna go down instantly there. Moving up, I think, a little too far forward.
Yeah, and that was definitely a mispositioning there, especially not respecting the amount of damage that Lethika can put out. Lethika hasn't really had all that great of a game, but they're certainly ahead in CS, and they've gone for the exact same build as last game. So they're going to have about exactly the same amount of damage they had last game, which was nothing to sneeze at.
Yeah.
So definitely not
looks
respecting.
like Lethika going for the same build, by the way. For going the Ludens in favor of the Death Cap. So, still not sure it's the best pickup, but...
Do see a tower going down on the top side, though. Healing Milk picking that up. Kale, pretty effective split pusher. It's going to be nice once he's able to pick up that Gwynzoo's as well. You know, Gwynzoo's really isn't that
looks like
good.
he's trying to go in here. Nope, just clearing the wave.
Clearing that wave.
Scaring me, Bone. You're getting me excited.
He'll get those engages. He's gotten them before. I'm sure we'll see a couple more before
yeah.
the game ends.
He's been
Unless the
doing
game
great
suddenly
this
ends.
game. Oh, speaking of, it looks like they're going to go on to Lethica. A great Ashe ultimate. The Enchanted Crystal Arrow going down. The Dev guy using his own ultimate. ZP attack is also going to go down here. OE Lust barely not getting Flaming Diva. Get reported coming into the backline. Zac is alone here. Bone does get the Elastic Slingshot down. Flaming Diva is going to have to be careful here and kite on the back of the fight. But there's no one there to fight, so there's nothing to kite. So I think he's good.
Nothing to kite, nothing to fight. Straight out of Compton.
We need a t-shirt.
Straight out of Grompton, that's what I'm saying.
Interestingly, Obi Lust is going for the Yumi's Ghostblade again. I think he just really likes that item.
It's a good item. It has a nice picture.
Yeah, it's purple. I like purple.
Yeah. It tastes pretty good.
If Lulu is to be trusted, but I don't know. She seems a little crazy.
Well, I mean, have you ever looked a tulip in the eye?
Can't say I have. Is this gonna be like the old Jin build where you go? Well, I guess there's really no alternatives, because I was gonna say where you go Yumu's into Rapid Fire Cannon into Eye Edge, but I don't know what else this BF sir would build into. Hopefully not a Bloodthirster, and hopefully not an Essence Reaver, because I don't think those would be too good.
Does Drakthar even build out of BF Sword anymore? They changed it like 3 times since it's been introduced in the past year.
I think so. You're making me doubt myself here, Cam.
Though Drakthar would be kind of interesting considering the lead that the team's name is escaping me. I apologize.
Which one?
The one that's not Animal Farm.
Oh, Team Jungle Milk.
Jungle Milk. Jungle Milk, considering the lead that they have currently, Drakthar wouldn't be an amazingly bad choice simply because it would allow them to clear out an additional ward on top of the 2 sweepers they already have. It would allow OE Lust to get into some positions and not necessarily get caught out as easily.
Yeah, which has been a problem. Ooh, looks like the dev guy was going in. Enchanted Crystal Arrow has been blown from Flaming Diva, so that's Proto Belt and Enchanted Crystal Arrow down for nothing. That might bite them on the backside, but hopefully not for their sake, and hopefully for Animal Farm's sake.
Hopefully. In any case, it is going to be the Eye Edge on Jin. No real doubts about that. There's no reason for him to build a Drakthar. It's just naive. We can hope, but that's what it is.
Yeah, we can hope we'll see some weird builds, but
boring.
I actually haven't seen Duskblade picked up that much recently. Oh, it looks like an engage from OE Lust with the ultimate here. Flaming does get hit by it. It's an 80% slow. It's pretty substantial. 2-man Shockwave down here. Chester is going to go down, as is the Dev guy. Dev guy pops ult. Flaming Diva, you're going a little too far forward. Flaming Diva gets ulted by Healing Milk. Healing Milk and Flaming Diva are going to have to try and kite out Get Reported. Get Reported does finally take out Flaming Diva, but Bone on the backside also taking out Lethica. Bone trying to get out here. It doesn't look like he's going to make it, but possibly Get Reported won't get him on the backside, and Healing Milk will be able to save him. And it looks like that's exactly the case. Woo! It was a good fight for Animal Farm.
Yeah, pretty mismatched in terms of engage potential there.
Hold on, Bone. I don't think you wanted to do that there. The Elastic Slingshot going down, but his passive's just going to get cleaned up here. Healing Milk doesn't do that much damage yet. Yeah. Oh, that's just... Oh, I'm sad for him now. Oh, I'm sad for Milk.
I'm very sad.
That was very unfortunate. Just one more auto would have been it. OE Lust getting the Ghostblade. Ghostblade 4th shot down there. So, with that play, I mean, that was a pretty substantial swing back in Animal Farm's favor. I mean, they're still down 3 dragons, and they're still down 3k. But considering that was, at the very least, the case before that play, they just got a tower and, what was it, 5 kills?
Yeah, 5 kills. I think that was a delayed ace. So, yeah, very good for them. I'm going to go ahead and postpone my dinner for another hour. And we'll, continue to cast this wonderful game.
Hopefully we get to eat sometime tonight. They're starving us until the game is over.
Let's see here. What are the item builds looking like? We do see a GA coming in for Kennen. Third item. I don't necessarily agree with that.
I don't think they have enough damage on the team to be going for GA third.
Yeah, I can understand wanting to stay alive, but I feel like an Hourglass would have suited that better, especially with the AP build.
Yeah. I mean, Hourglass or anything, man. I don't know. The GA makes me a little uncomfortable because they have... I mean, they have Milk, who will be doing damage, but currently isn't. They have Flaming Diva, does a good deal of damage. Chester does okay damage. But Deb, if you'll remember from last game, was the main source of their damage, and they just don't have that big oomph that they did last time. Maybe Deb is trying to stay alive long enough with this pickup so that his ultimate can get the stun onto multiple people instead of, you know, almost getting the stun and then Deb goes down. Or, actually, does Kennen ult even persist? Does the Slicing Maelstrom persist through GA?
That's a good question. I don't think it does either. We're going to have to see whether that comes into play here. But I do really feel that Zanya's would be better if he's simply looking for survivability.
Absolutely. Especially on Kennen. It's just such a great item on him.
Through my work, you shall transcend.
Questions. One thing we can be certain of, though, is that despite the closeness of the kills now, there is a gold advantage to the side of Jungle Milk.
Yep.
Because of the dragons and because of the extra turrets and some assist gold, I believe, is helping contribute to that as well.
Dear God, it's an
farm
Elder Drake
though
already?
Yeah.
I haven't even noticed, to be honest.
Farm though, I wanna highlight Flaming Diva's farm differential with OE Lust here. It's almost 100. Which is insane, but expected in a way when you're playing an Ashe with a Runaan's into a Jhin.
Oh, and an Ashe with a Runaan's into a Jhin with such a massive lead on his team.
So it's an interesting little conundrum there. Meanwhile, Lethica consistently on that Orianna picking up some good damage.
Oh, Elastic Slingshot goes just wide, but dear God, Tiny Panther got blown up immediately, and it looks like Z-Paddock is the next one to go down. Flaming Diva trying to stay alive here. Gonna take down, get reported just barely with the volley. Bone barely missing the Elastic Slingshot, but it looks like they might try and turn on to Elder Drake here. And I think they can do it. Curtain Call has not been used by OE Lust, though. Oh, no. Oh, no. This is going to get really, really dirty really quick. Healing Milk going to tank it up. Does he have ultimate? He doesn't. Dev guy should be in the front here. Get in the front, Dev. Oh, or Lust can miss it. That works. They were juking around a little too much when really you have... Well, first of all, you have a Zac, who's massive. But you also have the Dev guy, who has GA... and Abyssal. I mean, Abyssal doesn't matter against Curtain Call, but the GA certainly does. But still an Elder Drake.
Yeah, no, I think it's a fairly decent Elder Drake pickup. They wanted to clear it from the map anyway because they don't want to have another objective to fight over. They want to have it in their hands. They can use it to help burn down Baron quickly, and it's massive. So any sort of team fight they get into, they're gonna be big with it. The ults will be up as the Elder Drake burns down to about half. So they can try and engage a fight here, bait out this Baron, see what they can do, and this could be the game designing play, because if they're able to use this Elder Drake to get at least 2 or 3 kills on the opposing team and then pick up the Baron, that will certainly close out the game.
Yeah, just like we saw last time, just one little decision and then bam, whole game's done.
So we're going to have to see how this...
Now's a good time to fight. Get reported is building up a GA, but doesn't have it yet. Once he gets it, it's going to be Problem City for Team Jungle Milk, not Milk Jungle. Oh, Bone going in with another Elastic Slingshot. Gets on to Lethica. Lethica flashing out. It looks like ZP attack is in the front line, or in the back line of Team Jungle Milk. Ooh, a nice 3-man Poppy ultimate it looked like. Getting the disengage, but 3 people went down in that fight. So
yeah, this is interesting. I feel that Jungle Milk here was afraid to pull the trigger unless your name is Bone. Because Bone just absolutely is fearless on these engages now, which is not without point because of how big he is. And both size, tankiness, and scoreline.
Yeah.
So he's certainly able to pull these out, and it's working out for them. They should be able to get this inhibitor down fairly quick.
I have to say I'm very impressed with Bone's play this game. More so than last, but last game it was also pretty good. He has great objective control. He prioritizes the objectives pretty heavily, and he makes great engages. This game especially, he has the confidence that his teammates don't, and that allows them to have more decisive calls. Because, hold on, fight breaking out here. ZP attack, and a 3-man shockwave going in, but Healing Milk saves himself with the ultimate. ZP attack is going down. Healing Milk might go down as well to get reported here. Flaming Diva is going to get hit up by the Jin Snare. Oh, Flaming Diva dying here on the backside to the Orianna combo, but Orianna herself, Lethica going down to the Deb guy, and it looks like Bone is in the backline here.
That's
it. Looks like it's going to be an ace. Ooh.
That's it. That's really well done by the Deb guy, being able to stay alive. Chester edits as well. They're able to stay alive. Let Bone do the engaging. Don't get greedy. Let him do it. But now you're tanking up the tower. What are you doing, Deb guy? You got minions right behind you.
He's got GA, man. He's got to go for the style.
Oh, goodness. Death timers were any shorter. That would be
he
terrible.
Lost with the greater style. Check his item build.
Oh, the tears.
Innovation.
Oh,
right there.
the tears.
I mean, that'll do it for the game, but I do want to go back to the point about Bone, because I think it's important that everyone watching, and even Bone, his team, and Animal Family 2.0, because I think the decisiveness in the engages, even if they're bad engages, it's usually better to follow a bad call with 5 people, than to not follow the call, and then suddenly you're in a 4v5 guaranteed. So, with the team having at least enough trust in Bone to follow up on the engages, if Bone makes the right decisions, they have more decisive shot calling than any team who doesn't have a dedicated engage. And I think that's important at these lower levels where shot calling isn't necessarily as refined as we could see in teams like FlyQuest, where High is just the puppeteer in the background telling everyone exactly what to do. So I'm really impressed by that ability to just go in.
Yeah, and when you're playing Zach, when you're playing that big, you just gotta take out the wheelchair to put your solid titanium balls in and push it into the enemy team. So he definitely does so, and well played to him, and well played to the Jungle Milk squad to be able to close out this game here.
Yep, Team Jungle Milk taking it 2-0 over Animal Family 2.0. That's going to end our show match here tonight. I'm Nabiria. I'm joined by my buddy, Can Opener Dude, and we'll see you next week. Actually, we'll see you tomorrow. I'm going to be casting again with the coach for Animal Family 2.0, believe it or not, and we'll be coming to you with either an NA show match or an EU show match. I honestly don't remember which. But if you want to keep up with this, other than that, you can follow the Twitch channel, which is the button below, and then in the description of the channel, you'll find our Discord and our Twitter. So if you want to keep up with it, do that. I hope you enjoyed the casting. I know I did. Can, let's say goodnight.
Good night, everyone, people, things.
All right, we're going to put on some nice, calming League music here and end it out.